Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, March 7th. Well, a strong coastal storm is currently causing a significant ice buildup in the higher elevations of north central North Carolina and into south central Virginia. But it looks like that area of moisture will only skirt the I-95 corridor, perhaps producing a little bit of ice or rain south and east of D.C. and Philadelphia later on this afternoon into the early part of the evening, and then that storm will pull out into the North Atlantic, and dry conditions will rule the Mid-Atlantic region on Saturday. Saturday will indeed be a much milder day than today, but then it turns colder again on Sunday as a cold frontal system slips through the region late Saturday night. It could cause a rain or snow shower in some parts of the Mid-Atlantic region, but then temperatures rebound quickly on Monday. It'll be a mild day on Monday, and the mildest day of the next several days looks like it'll come on Tuesday. Temperatures perhaps 60 degrees or higher in the D.C. metro region, 50 degrees or higher in Philadelphia and New York City. However, colder air will return at midweek, and it looks like that return of colder air could indeed be accompanied by a significant storm in the Wednesday-Thursday time frame. We'll get a little bit into that over the next few minutes. First, let's focus in on today's event, the coastal storm. This is the last few frames of the radar loop in the Mid-Atlantic region. You can kind of see what's happening here. The precipitation reaches far north as about Charlottesville, Virginia. They had a little bit of light freezing rain for a while, and then changed to a little bit of light snow, about 29, 30 degrees in that area. But notice kind of the precipitation has grinded to a halt in terms of its movement to the north. This is the D.C. metro region right here, and there's a lot of dry air, dry cold air situated up along the I-95 corridor. So again, it only looks like it could throw a little bit of precipitation into the areas just to the south and east of D.C. and Philadelphia later on today, either in the form of sleet or rain. And that threat continues into about the early part of tonight, and then that whole system pulls off the Mid-Atlantic coastline, moves well out into the open Atlantic late tonight and tomorrow, and dry conditions will come back to the Mid-Atlantic region for Saturday. And with the return of some sunshine, temperatures will jump to noticeably milder levels on Saturday afternoon. But then a cold front brings colder air back in on Sunday. And here's a current look at the surface map. Here's that low pressure area situated off the Carolinas. Again, a significant ice storm today across the mountains of central North Carolina into south central Virginia. This region right in here, significant ice buildup with power outages. But notice a strong high pressure area sitting right off the New England coastline. This whole area in here is just dominated by cold, dry air, and that will help to prevent the precipitation from making it too far north into the I-95 corridor later on today. Again, the general movement of this is to the north and east, and it'll only skirt the I-95 corridor with a little bit of ice or rain south and east of D.C. and south and east of Philadelphia later on today, before all of that moves out over the open Atlantic by later tonight and tomorrow. Upstream, cold frontal system here will swing on through the Mid-Atlantic region late Saturday night, early Sunday, perhaps with a few snow or rain showers, and then colder air moves in on Sunday. But that gives way to a quick return to milder conditions for Monday and especially Tuesday of next week. Well, one last look at today's coastal storm before we focus in on the midweek event coming next week. This is last night's Zero-Z Canadian model run, and I just want to walk through because it has a great handle on things. This is the forecast map from last night, about a 12-hour forecast for 7 a.m. this morning, and we'll step through this incrementally on an hourly basis. This is D.C. region right here. Notice right up to about Charlottesville or so, the southwestern part of Virginia, some snow and ice. But notice what happens here as we step through this. It just does not have a chance to make it too much farther to the north and northwest as that cold, dry air kind of dominates here. Still later on, this is now early afternoon, still dry according to the Canadian forecast model run from last night. Still dry in D.C. and certainly in the Philadelphia region. Now, by the end of today, again, there can be a little bit of rain just to the south and east of the district and certainly across southern New Jersey. There can be a little bit of rain later on today, maybe even a little bit more than just light rain, maybe even a little bit of moderate rain right along the Jersey coastline. But that ultimately pulls out to the north and east and then off, well off the coast by late tonight, early tomorrow. Dry conditions in the Mid-Atlantic region on Saturday. Well, let's now focus in on the midweek event. And, all winter long we've had kind of a pattern where when we have a warm-up, it's usually short-lived, maybe 2 or 3 days or so. And oftentimes this winter it's been followed. It ends with a snow event here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Super Bowl weekend, for example, we had quite mild temperatures on Sunday, Super Bowl, followed by a snowstorm in much of the Mid-Atlantic region on Monday. Could we have that again? Well, there are signs of something similar happening by the middle part of next week. Tuesday, for example, we could reach 60 degrees in the D.C. metro region, but by the time Wednesday rolls around, colder air moves in. A significant storm could accompany that return of the colder air and certainly have the potential for some snow in the Wednesday, Thursday time frame after a very mild couple of days to start the week on Monday and especially Tuesday. This is last night's Zero Z GFS model run forecast for Tuesday evening. At this time, we have a cold frontal system starting to head towards the I-95 corridor. Again, Tuesday will be a very mild day, probably the mildest day of the next several days, well up in the 50s in the Philadelphia region, perhaps 60-plus degrees down in D.C. But this cold frontal system comes through late in the day on Tuesday or Tuesday night. Notice strong high pressure in south central Canada, a familiar theme all winter long with a cold air upstream dropping southeast from central Canada into the northern U.S. Now let's jump ahead 12 hours. And here's the forecast map from last night's Zero Z GFS model run for Wednesday morning. Notice this blue line, kind of the rain snow line here, now dropping slowly south and east across southern part of Pennsylvania. This is Wednesday morning. Cold high pressure starting to edge into New England in a favorable position for sending cold air down south and east of the Appalachian mountain chain into the I-95 corridor, and lots of moisture gathering itself southwest here at the same time the colder air is moving in. Let's now jump ahead 12 hours. And here we go. By Wednesday evening, a pretty significant storm starting to form here over the eastern part of North Carolina. At the same time, colder air is filtering in. Notice this rain snow line here now drops all the way into the D.C. metro region. It has slowly dropped south and east during the day on Wednesday as cold air pushes in, anchored by this strong cold high pressure system here in the southeastern part of Canada. And let me point out that the European model has a significantly stronger storm near the Mid-Atlantic coastline late in the day on Wednesday night time frame, stronger than the GFS. But even this particular scenario, as depicted by the GFS model run, has certainly some threat for snow in much of the Mid-Atlantic region. Let's now jump ahead 12 hours. And here's the forecast map for Thursday morning. At this time, that low moves from the eastern part of North Carolina, north and east off the coast. The cold air comes really flooding into the Mid-Atlantic region. Whatever was falling earlier in this particular event is likely to have changed over to snow by this time. So indeed, we could have another situation where we have a very mild spell of weather on Monday and especially Tuesday that could be followed by more accumulating snow in the Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Obviously, we have several days to go before that event takes place, but some significant threat coming for the Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week. That's it for now for the SIWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.